Chapter 6 The First Turning Point. The next morning arrived quietly, like a gentle visitor tapping on Ayan's window. The world outside looked the same. Dusty roads, crow calls, wooden shops, but something inside him had changed. For the first time, he woke up with a purpose strong enough to pull him out of bed without hesitation. He sat on the charpai, stretched his arms, and whispered to himself, "Today is the first day of my real journey." But he had no idea how difficult this day would be. The plan begins. Ayan knew he needed three things: money, knowledge, direction. Money was the hardest. He walked around the village, hoping someone needed help. He didn't care if the work was small. He needed to begin somewhere. And finally, he found his first opportunity. Old Haji Khalid, the man with weak eyesight who owned the small grocery shop, was struggling to lift rice sacks. Ayan rushed to help him. "Patar, you're a strong young man," Haji Khalid smiled. "Would you help me arrange the storeroom? I'll pay you." Ayan's heart lit up. He spent 3 hours lifting, organizing, cleaning, and sweeping. His shirt was soaked with sweat, but he didn't stop. When he finished, the storeroom looked cleaner than it had in years. Haji patted his back and handed him a small payment. It wasn't much, but for Ayan, it was the first coin of his future. Point 2. Motivation meets reality. On his way home, excitement filled his chest. He imagined everything he could do with the money, but when he reached home, reality hit. His mother was standing outside with tearful eyes. Ayan rushed to her. "Ami, what happened?" She hesitated. "Your father. He collapsed while working. Someone is bringing him home." Ayan froze. Moments later, villagers carried his father in, weak, coughing, unable to sit straight. His father waved his hand lightly. "I'm fine, just tired." But Ayan saw the truth. His father was becoming weaker every day. That night, as the family slept, Ayan lay awake, staring at the mud ceiling. He whispered, "I must become strong for them." He clutched the small money he earned earlier that day. It suddenly felt heavier, like a promise he had made to himself. Co 3. The discovery 2 days later. Something unusual happened. A merchant stopped his donkey cart near Ayan's house. He was calling out, "Old electronics, broken tools, damaged items. I buy all." Ayan's eyes widened. He remembered something. Behind his house, in an old wooden chest, lay several broken items his father kept long ago. A damaged radio, a rusted torch, an old tape recorder. A cracked electric kettle. His father always said, "Don't throw them away. Maybe someday I'll fix them." But years passed. He never could. Now, Ayan saw an opportunity. He brought the broken items to the merchant. The man examined everything carefully. "These are useless," he said. "I'll give only a small amount." Ayan waited silently. The man gave him a few notes. Again, it wasn't much. But now, Ayan had enough to buy something he desperately needed: a small notebook, a pen, and a used book on basic electronics. He walked home with the bag in hand, smiling like a child who found treasure. For the first lesson that night, after everyone slept, Ayan lit a small lantern and opened the old book. The pages were yellow. The handwriting was rough. Some pages were torn, but the knowledge inside, it felt like magic. He read about circuits, wires, currents, repairing small appliances. He didn't understand everything, not even half, but he refused to stop. For the first time, Ayan felt intelligent, not because someone told him he was, but because he was discovering something himself. 5. The first failure. 3 days later, his first chance arrived. His neighbor, Uncle Irfan, came with a broken table fan. "You always help others, Beta," he said. "Do you want to try fixing this?" Ayan nodded confidently. But reality was cruel. For 2 hours, he tried. For 3 hours, he struggled. For 4 hours, he made mistakes. And finally, he broke the fan even more. Uncle Irfan shook his head. "It's okay, Beta. You tried." But Ayan felt crushed. He walked behind his house and sat alone in the field. He could still hear Ali's voice. "You want to be like them. Impossible." A tear rolled down his cheek. But then, something stronger and deeper rose inside him, a voice whispering, "If you fail today, learn today. But don't quit." He wiped his face. He stood up again and he made a decision. "I will practice. I will learn. I will fight. I will rise." 6. The turning point. The next morning, Ayan went to the junk shop in the nearby town. He spent all his small savings to buy useless broken items: fans, radios, chargers, flashlights. The shopkeeper laughed. "What will you do with this scrap?" Ayan smiled confidently. "Make something out of nothing." Every evening, after helping his father, after working small jobs, after everyone slept, Ayan sat under the lantern and practiced repairing broken items. He failed again and again. He cut his fingers many times. He burned a wire. He got a shock once. He broke more things than he fixed, but he learned. Every mistake taught him something. Every failure shaped him. Every night made him stronger. Until one night, he repaired his first radio. It turned on. It turned on. Static noise filled the room. Ion stared at it in disbelief, tears forming in his eyes. He whispered, "This is only the beginning." And it truly was. This moment, this tiny spark, would eventually grow into a fire that would change his life forever. Chapter 7. The small wind that changed everything. The sun was just beginning to rise when Ion stepped outside, holding the repaired radio in his hands. The soft morning wind brushed against his face, and the world felt peaceful, almost as if it was waiting for something new to begin. He could hardly sleep after fixing the radio. Every time he closed his eyes, he heard the crackling sound of the radio turning on. It was the sound of possibility, a sound he would remember all his life. The radio that spoke hope. Ian walked to the small tea stall near the bus stop, the place where villagers usually gathered in the morning. Old men drank tea, drivers discussed routes, and shopkeepers talked about sales. Today, however, something different happened. When Ion placed the repaired radio on the counter and switched it on, the sweet voice of a morning announcer filled the air. Everyone turned to look. Ion, where did this come from? The tea stall owner, Baba Rimat, leaned closer. "I fixed it," Ion said quietly. "You fix this. But this radio has been dead for years." Ion nodded. A small crowd gathered. They touched the radio, amazed. Suddenly, the old men who always used to laugh at him now looked at him with new eyes, eyes filled with respect, curiosity, and a little surprise. For the first time, Ian felt it. People were noticing him, and not because he failed, but because he succeeded. 2. An unexpected opportunity. Later that day, as Ian walked home, the village head Nawab Sahib called him. "You fixed that radio?" "Yes, sir." The man stroked his mustache and nodded. "My electric water heater stopped working. Bring it back to life, and I'll pay you well." Ayan's heart skipped a beat. This was his chance, a big one. "I'll try my best," he said, taking the heater carefully. But as he walked home, fear whispered in his mind. What if I fail? What if I disappoint him? What if everyone laughs again? He paused. Then he remembered his nights of practice, the cuts on his fingers, the wires he reconnected, the mistakes he learned from, and he said to himself, "I won't fail. I'll make this work." 3. The struggle behind closed doors. For 3 days, Ayan worked on the heater. He tested wires, replaced coils, checked circuits, and compared diagrams from his old books. Every time he got stuck, he would sit quietly, close his eyes, and think. He failed many times, but he kept going. On the 3rd night, after nearly giving up twice, he connected the final wire, turned the small switch, and waited. A few seconds later, the heater warmed up. It worked. Ayan almost cried again. He whispered, "Thank you, Allah." For the first real earning the next morning, he returned the heater to Nawab Sahib. The village had inspected it. It worked perfectly. He looked at Ayan for a long moment. "You've got talent, boy." He handed him a proper payment, more money than Ayan had ever held at once. Ayan stood frozen, staring at the notes. His hands trembled. This was not just money. It was proof. Proof that he could earn. Proof that he could build a future. Proof that he was not worthless. When he walked home, the world looked brighter. The trees greener. The sky wider. His dreams closer. His dreams closer. He reached home and placed the money before his mother. She froze. "Ayan, where did this come from?" He smiled. "Ammi, I repaired something." Tears filled her eyes, but this time they were tears of pride, not worry. She placed her hand on his head and whispered, "My son, my son. May you rise higher than the sky." The rumor spreads by evening. Half the village knew that Ayan could fix things. One man brought a broken iron, another brought an old charger, a third brought a lantern. One by one, Ayan repaired them. He made mistakes, yes, but he always learned from them. Every evening, his small table filled with tools, wires, and damaged items. Every night, he worked under the lantern. Slowly, people began calling him Ayan the Fixer, Ayan the Smart One, Ayan the Boy with Golden Hands, compliments he had never imagined receiving. And then, something unexpected happened. Sis, the box that held his future one afternoon, Ali, the boy who used to belittle him, walked toward him with a small box in his hand. Ayan's stomach tightened, but Ali didn't look arrogant. He looked desperate. "My mobile charger stopped working," he said softly. "Can you fix it?" Ayan looked at him. This was the same boy who said, "People like you never succeed." But now he stood in front of Ion asking for help. Ion didn't want revenge, he wanted progress. "Leave it here," he said calmly. Ali exhaled in relief. "Thank you," he said quietly, avoiding eye contact. Ian felt something warm inside him, something like victory, but cleaner. Not the victory of making someone kneel, the victory of rising so high that no insult could reach him anymore. That night, when he opened the box to repair the charger, he found something else inside, a small paper. It said, "I'm sorry." "You were right." Ian stared at the note. A smile grew on his face. He placed the note in his notebook between the first pages of his journey to remember this moment forever, because this was the day Ian realized success changes many things, but it changes people the most. And his life was only beginning to change. Chapter 8, when the world starts to notice the sky was golden when Ian stepped out of his house the next morning. Birds sat on electricity wires, chirping loudly as if announcing a new day. But for Ian, every new day now carried meaning, work to do, skills to learn, dreams to chase. And today, something bigger waited for him. The day begins with a knock right after breakfast. Someone knocked at the door. Talk, talk. Ian opened it. A surprise chill rushed through him. Standing there was Master Javd, the village school's headmaster. A serious man, calm, wise, known for sharp decisions. "Ian," he said with a respectful nod. "May I speak with you for a moment?" Ian stepped aside to let him in. His mother looked nervous. People like Master Javd didn't visit students' homes unless something important happened. They all sat down. Master Javd cleared his throat. "I saw the heater you fixed for Nawab Sahib," he said. "It works better than before. Did you really repair it?" "Yes, sir. I tried my best." The headmaster leaned forward. "Ian, you have a rare gift. Not everyone understands machines. Not everyone learns from their hands. You have something special." Ian swallowed. He didn't know what to say. Then Master Javd continued, "I want you to help the school." Ian blinked. "Help the school? Our classroom fans keep breaking. The PAW system doesn't work. The science lab's equipment is old. I've heard you can fix things. If you agree, I'll pay you for every repair." Ian froze. The school, where he once felt invisible, now wanted him. He nodded slowly. "I'll do it, sir." Master Javd smiled. "A rare thing. You just changed your future." Ian, too. The first big project later that day. Ian visited the school's dusty storeroom. It was full of broken objects stacked like forgotten memories. Fans, switches, old radios, wires, bulbs, even a projector. Most students never even knew these things existed. But for Ian, it was heaven. He opened his old notebook, wrote down the list of items, and took a deep breath. "This is bigger than anything I've done before." But he wasn't afraid. He was ready. He started with the simple items, fans and lanterns. Then he moved to harder ones, speakers and recorders. His fingers worked faster than before. His mind was sharper. Mistakes bothered him less. Successes surprised him more. Every repaired item felt like a new brick being added to his future. 3. The moment of pride. 3 days later, Master Javd called all the teachers to the assembly hall. Ian stood near the speakers he had repaired, his hands shaking slightly. He wasn't used to attention. His heart raced like a drum. Master Javd switched on the speaker. A loud, clear sound echoed through the hall. Teachers clapped. Some smiled. Some nodded in approval. But for Ian, one thing mattered more than all the claps. For the first time in his life, people respected him without pity. He stood straighter. He breathed deeper. And somewhere inside him, a voice whispered, "This is just the beginning." 4. A conversation that changed his direction as the teachers left. One teacher stayed behind, Sir Cameron, the science teacher. He was quiet, observant, and always carried a notebook. He approached Ian. "You have potential." Who said anything about expensive? There are vocational courses, short, affordable, powerful. You can learn properly, get certified, get real jobs, even start your own business. Ian looked at him, eyes widening. He had never heard of such courses. Sir Cameron placed a hand on his shoulder. "If you're willing to work hard, I'll help you. I'll even talk to the village committee to reduce your fees." Ian felt something burning inside him. Hope, real hope, the kind that feels warm and possible, he whispered. "Sir, if I get that chance, I won't waste it." Sir Cameron smiled. "I know you won't." 5. A sudden challenge. Just when everything seemed perfect, trouble arrived. In the evening, 2 boys stood outside his house, not customers, not friends. They were troublemakers, Salman and Fawad, the ones who always mocked him before. Solomon smirked. So, Mr. Fixer is becoming the village hero, ha! Fawad stepped forward and kicked a broken fan toward Ayan. Fix this and we'll believe your skills. Otherwise, he laughed darkly. You're just a lucky idiot. Ayan stared at them. He felt the old anger rise, the same anger he felt when Ali insulted him, but he didn't let it control him. He simply said, leave it here. I'll repair it. They laughed. You better not fail. Ayan picked up the fan and took it inside. His mother worried. Beta. Don't bother with those boys. But Ayan shook his head. Ami, if I run from challenges today, I'll run forever. He sat under the lantern and began working. The fan was badly damaged on purpose. Burned wires, broken motor, bent blades, loose screws. It was a challenge, a test, a trap. But Ayan didn't break. He worked past midnight. Sweat dripped onto his notebook. His fingers ached, but he didn't stop because this fan wasn't just a fan. It was a message to the world, a message to himself. No matter how broken something is, I can fix it. Finally, at 2:17 a.m., the fan spun beautifully, working better than new. Ayan leaned back, exhausted but proud. 6. A new sunrise the next morning. Salman and Fawad came laughing, expecting failure. Ayan brought out the repaired fan. He switched it on. The fan hummed smoothly. Perfect. Their smiles vanished. Their pride cracked. Fawad whispered, This can't be. Salman stepped back, stunned. Ayan simply said, I don't fix things to prove anything to you. I fix them to build my future. Then he gently handed the fan to them. They left without another word. Ayan stood there, watching them walk away. The village felt different now. The air felt lighter. The sky felt higher. And his journey felt unstoppable. For the first time in years, Ayan realized every challenge was making him stronger. Every failure was teaching him something. Every day was shaping him into someone greater, and he was ready for the next battle, for the next victory, for the next chapter of his life. Chapter 9, when doors began to open, the morning felt different, not because the weather changed, not because the birds sang louder, but because Ayan woke up with confidence, the kind he had never felt before. He had repaired the impossible fan. He had impressed the school. He had earned respect. He had earned money. He had earned a direction, but destiny had more in store for him. A visit from an unexpected guest around mid-morning. Ayan was working on a lantern when he heard footsteps outside. A tall, well-dressed man stepped into the courtyard. Ayan didn't recognize him. His mother came out and gasped softly, Assalamu alaikum, Sir Malik. Ayan's eyes widened. Sir Malik, the richest man in the village, owner of land, shops, and even property in the nearby town. People rarely saw him, and when they did, it was important. Ayan stood respectfully. Malik Sahib looked at him with a serious expression. So, you're the boy who repairs things. Ayan nodded nervously. Yes, sir. Malik handed him a sleek, expensive device, a water pump controller. This broke last week. 2 electricians checked it. Both failed. Someone told me to come to you. Ayan felt his throat dry. This wasn't a small fan, not a simple lantern, not even a heater. This was complicated, modern, delicate. He'd never seen one before. Malik noticed his hesitation. If you can fix it, I'll pay you well. If you can't, no problem. Ayan took a long breath. Then he said the bravest words he'd said so far. I'll try. Tutu. When something looks impossible, when Malik Sahib left, Ayan took the device inside. His mother looked worried. Beta, this looks very complicated. Yes, Ayan admitted, but complicated doesn't mean impossible. He cleared the table, opened his notebook, grabbed his tools, and began working. The device had a printed circuit board, tiny resistors, micro switches, a motor connection, burn marks. Ayan stared at it like it was a puzzle, a difficult puzzle, a puzzle meant for someone with training, not for a village boy with a lantern. But he refused to give up. He studied the pathways. He read the voltage markings. He checked the burnt components. He compared them with diagrams from his book. And slowly, very slowly, he began to understand. Hours passed. Evening came. Night covered the village like a blanket. But Ayan kept working. Failures didn't scare him anymore. He had learned something powerful. If you're brave enough to try, you're already halfway there. 3. The spark of insight at midnight. He found the problem. A tiny resistor had burned the entire path. A small component, but a big failure. He found a similar part from an old board in his junk collection, cleaned the contacts, soldered it carefully, and reconnected the controller. Then he whispered, Ya Allah, please make this work. He plugged it into a test circuit and turned it on. Nothing happened. Ayan's chest tightened. He leaned forward, looking closely. A spark flickered. A light blinked. The motor activated. The device worked. Ayan dropped his tools and covered his face with both hands. He had fixed something even trained electricians couldn't repair. He whispered with a shaking voice. It did it. I really did it. 4. The reward of hard work. The next morning, Ayan returned the repaired controller to Malik Sahib. The wealthy man examined it silently, then he connected it. The machine started instantly, smooth, silent, perfect. Malik Sahib looked at Ayan with astonishment. You repaired this? You. Ayan nodded quietly. Malik slowly smiled. A rare sight, young man. You have genius in your hands. He handed a thick envelope to Ayan. Inside was more money than Ayan had ever seen. Ayan's hands trembled. No, sir, this is too much. No, Malik said firmly. This is not charity. This is your worth. He stepped closer and placed a hand on Ayan's shoulder. And if you ever need help for studies, for training, for your shop, come to me. People like you need opportunities. Ayan felt his heart beat faster. Opportunities. For the first time, they were within reach. 5. A mother's tears. When Ayan returned home and showed the money, his mother's eyes filled with tears. Ayan, you are changing our lives. He hugged her tightly. Not just ours, Amy. One day, I'll help others too. She looked at him lovingly. You already have a heart bigger than your dream. Ayan smiled. A real smile. One filled with hope. 6. A teacher's pride. That afternoon, Ayan went to the school to repair a fan. Sir Kamran saw him and asked what happened. Ayan, you look different. Ayan told him everything about Malik Sahib's controller. Sir Kamran listened with shining eyes. I knew it, he whispered. You are meant for something great. He opened his notebook and pulled out a paper. Ayan, I found a vocational training program in the city. They teach electronics, engineering basics, and repair skills. Very low fees, 3 months only. Ayan stared at the paper. A real course, a real certificate, a real step toward his dream. Sir Cameron smiled softly. If you want this, I'll help you get admitted. Ayan's voice trembled. Yes, sir. I want this more than anything. 7. The first step toward the future. That evening, Ayan sat under the sky, the wind brushing past him. He closed his eyes and imagined a workshop with his name tools, neatly arranged customers outside, his mother smiling proudly, his father resting peacefully, a life built with his own hands. He whispered to the wind, this is only the first step. I'm going much further. And from that night on, something new awakened inside him. Not just hope, not just ambition, but purpose. The purpose that would one day take him far beyond the village, to places he had never imagined, to a life he never thought possible. Chapter 10. The day the world grew bigger. Ayan woke up before sunrise, not because he had work, not because someone knocked on the door, but because excitement would not let him sleep. Today, he was going to the city for the first time in his life, to visit the vocational training center, to see where he might study, to see a future that once felt impossible. This was not just a trip, this was a new beginning. 1. A nervous start. His mother woke early too, preparing breakfast quietly, watching him with a mix of fear and pride. You're going far today, she said softly. Be careful, Beta. Ayan nodded. He wasn't scared, not anymore, but he was nervous. This was the first time he was stepping outside the limits of his small world, the village where people knew him, where dirt roads were familiar, where his father once walked beside him. He wondered what his father would say if he were alive. Probably, go son, the world is waiting for you. 2. The city bus. At the bus stop, Sir Kamran waited with a small bag in his notebook. You're early. Ayan, I couldn't sleep, sir. Sir Kamran smiled. You're growing fast. The old bus rattled toward them, dusty but strong. Ayan climbed in, heart pounding. Kate? The city was 2 hours away, but for Ayan, it felt like another planet. As the bus moved, fields disappeared. Carts became cars. Small shops became tall buildings. Simple roads became wide highways. Ayan's eyes widened. So this is the city, he whispered. 3. The Training Institute. The center was bigger than anything Ayan had imagined. Tall gates, wide halls, students carrying toolkits, posters of circuits, machines, and modern technology. A workshop filled with wires, motors, drills, and testing machines. Ayan felt his throat tighten. This was not a dream anymore. This was real. A man with glasses approached them. You're the boy Sir Cameron told us about. Yes, Ayan said, trying to stay calm. The instructor smiled. We heard you repaired a controller 2 electricians failed to fix. Ayan blushed slightly. I tried my best. The instructor leaned forward. That's all this field requires, skill and effort. If you join us, we'll make you a real technician. Ayan felt something rise inside him, belonging. For the first time, he felt like he belonged somewhere bigger than the village. The admission test the institute required a small skill test. Ayan's hands shook as he sat at a desk with wires and components. Repair this small circuit, the instructor said, and explain what you're doing. Ayan took a deep breath. He remembered his nights under the lantern, his notebook, his mistakes, his successes, his challenges. He worked slowly but confidently. He checked the soldering points. He traced the voltage path. He replaced a faulty diode. He explained every small step. When he finished, the circuit lit up perfectly. The instructor raised his eyebrows. You've never taken training before. No, sir. You're gifted. He wrote something on the form. You're accepted. Ayan froze. The words echoed in his head. You're accepted. You're accepted. You're accepted. You're accepted. He nearly cried. The fee problem, but then came the difficult part, the fees. Even though the course was cheap, it was still more than Ayan could afford. Ayan's face fell. I don't know if I can pay, but I'll try to earn. Before he could finish, someone spoke. I'll handle it. Ayan turned. Sir Kamran stood beside him with his hand on Ayan's shoulder. I promised you help. I didn't break my promise. Ayan shook his head, emotional. Sir, this is too much. No, Cameron said softly. This is an investment. One day you will help 100 others. That will be my return. Ayan wiped his eyes. I won't disappoint you. You won't, the teacher said confidently. You never do. Sis, a glimpse of tomorrow after the admission. Ayan and Sir Kamran walked through the city. They visited a big electronics market. Shops filled with soldering kits, circuit boards, tool sets, microchips, batteries, multimeters. Ayan felt like he had entered a treasure world. Someday, he promised himself, he would buy everything he needed. Someday he would own a workshop like these. Someday he would be known, he whispered. This is my world now. Sir Kamran nodded. Yes, Ayan, and you are going to grow in it. 7. Back to the village. A different person returns. The bus ride home felt shorter. Not because the distance changed, but because the boy who left the village in the morning, Jen, was not the same boy coming back. He returned home with an admission form, a start date, a future, a burning dream. His mother listened to everything, eyes shining with joy and fear. So you will study in the city? Yes. Amy. She held his hands tightly. Go, Beta. Learn everything. Become someone your father would be proud of. Ayan smiled softly. Texty. I will. That night he didn't sleep, not because of fear, but because his heart was too full of hope, dreams, and possibilities. He stared at the sky and whispered, I'm ready. My journey begins now.